The great chamber of the Galactic Council shone with 1,000 colors. Tall crystalline pillars reflected the glow of alien suns, and the air was alive with voices from 100 worlds. The galaxy had waited for this moment, the arrival of a new species, one that had finally reached the stars after long centuries trapped on its small blue world. The doors opened, and humanity entered. They did not come in ships of gold or with armies marching in lockstep. They came quietly, dressed in simple clothes, with calm faces and easy smiles. The other species, proud of their ancient empires and long histories, studied them carefully. The humans walked as if they belonged, yet they bowed their heads with respect. Their eyes were steady, their words polite, their movements humble. It was almost too humble. The council members whispered among themselves. Are these the humans? The ones who rose so quickly? The ones who survived their brutal homeworld? Another voice answered with laughter. Look at them. So small. So fragile. Their teeth are dull, their claws gone, their bodies weak. They are nothing but diplomats. Their strength is in words, not war. The humans smiled when they heard such comments. They did not argue, did not correct, did not boast. They only bowed, thanked the speakers, and took their seats. Yet some of the council felt a chill. There was something in those smiles, something deep in their eyes. It was not fear. It was not weakness. It was patience, like a predator waiting in the grass. The meeting began. The chairman of the council, a towering reptilian with scales like steel, raised his voice. We welcome humanity into the circle of the stars. May you bring peace, and may you learn peace. His words carried both hope and warning. For the galaxy had known predators before, species that hunted not just prey but entire worlds. Such species had been destroyed long ago, for the safety of all. The council would not allow another threat to rise. The humans stood and bowed again. Their leader, a woman with dark hair and steady eyes, spoke softly. We are honored. We come with friendship. We seek no conquest. We only wish to share knowledge and build trust. Her voice was calm, her words simple. Many aliens nodded, convinced. Others rolled their eyes, finding the humans too gentle, too harmless to ever matter. But still, the unease grew. One insectoid ambassador leaned close to his neighbor and whispered, Do you not feel it? Their scent. Their silence. It is like the silence before the storm. The neighbor hissed a laugh. Nonsense. They are prey pretending to be strong. They will not last a cycle in this galaxy. Yet when the humans moved, even slightly, every eye followed them. Their steps were careful, measured, almost rehearsed. They never interrupted, never shouted, never demanded attention. And still, attention always drifted back to them. There was weight in their presence, a gravity that no one could explain. During the breaks, other species tried to test them. A large warrior from a warlike race approached one of the human delegates. He leaned down, his voice a growl. You are weak. Your kind should serve, not lead. The human only looked up at him, smiling calmly. We do not wish to lead. But we do not serve. The warrior sneered, expecting fear, but the human's eyes did not waver. For a moment, the warrior felt as if he were looking into the gaze of a predator larger than himself. He turned away, unsettled. The whispers spread further. Some said the humans were hiding something. Others believed they were simply strange, a people too used to suffering on their harsh world to show fear. But the truth was deeper. Humanity had lived for millennia in struggle, wars, plagues, disasters, endless survival against a world that tried to kill them every day. They had grown strong, not in muscle or claws, but in patience, in cunning, in unity. They had learned to smile even when hungry, to laugh even when wounded, to bow while planning the next move. As the council session continued, a debate rose about a border conflict between two species. Voices grew loud, accusations filled the air, threats of war flew across the chamber. Many shouted, many argued. But the humans remained silent. They simply listened, watching with those steady eyes. At last, when silence fell for breath, the human leader spoke. Her voice was soft, almost kind. We understand conflict. We know what it means to fight until nothing is left. But peace is possible. It requires patience, sacrifice, and the will to survive together. The words were gentle, yet they carried a weight that silenced the chamber. No one could explain why such simple words held such power. It was not the language, not the tone, it was the way she spoke, as if she had lived those words, as if her people had bled them into the soil of their world. When the session ended, and the humans left the chamber, many laughed again. They are harmless, some said. They hide behind smiles. But others sat in silence, staring at the empty seats where the humans had been. One old ambassador, who had lived through wars long ago, finally spoke. You do not see it. You do not smell it. They are predators. Not the kind that roar, but the kind that wait. And we have just welcomed them into our home. The council dismissed his warning with laughter. But deep in the corners of the chamber, where the shadows stretched long, some could not shake the feeling. Humanity had smiled, yes. Humanity had bowed, yes. But in those quiet, steady eyes, the galaxy had glimpsed something it had not seen in ages: patience, hunger, and the calm of hunters who knew that time was always on their side. And so the first meeting ended, filled with polite words, soft smiles, and a storm no one yet recognized. The galaxy had welcomed humanity. The galaxy had laughed. But the laughter carried unease, and the whispers grew louder. For though the humans had lifted no weapon, though they had spoken no threat, every species in the chamber carried the same thought in their hearts, unspoken but heavy as stone. Why do humans feel dangerous, without lifting a hand? The next gathering of the Galactic Council came only a few cycles later. The humans arrived again with their calm smiles, but this time the chamber was filled with restless murmurs. Rumors had already begun to spread through the networks of the stars. Stories of humanity's strange history, whispered like shadows in the corridors of power. An elder species, one of the long-lived scholars who had watched countless civilizations rise and fall, leaned on his staff as he entered the chamber. His eyes were clouded with age, yet his voice carried with weight. Be careful of the ones who smile too much, he said softly, though not softly enough. His words drifted across the hall, and more than one ambassador turned their head toward the humans. The humans pretended not to hear. They bowed again, their faces gentle, their words polite. But as the meeting unfolded, the whispers grew louder. An insectoid diplomat tapped his claws nervously on the table. I heard their world is filled with storms that could strip flesh from bone. I heard they breathe poisons and still live. Another added, I heard their young play games of war, teaching them violence before they can even stand tall. The stories varied, but none painted humanity as weak. Still, the humans themselves denied nothing. When asked, they simply smiled and answered with short truths. Yes, our storms are strong. Yes, our world is dangerous. But it is home. They spoke of it as if it were nothing, as if enduring constant danger was ordinary. To the other species, it was unthinkable. At one point in the council, a minor species sought to impress the chamber. Their ambassador stood, raising his voice against the humans. They lie. If their world is so dangerous, they should all be dead. They are exaggerating, pretending to be strong. The human delegate turned her head slowly toward him. She did not speak at once. She simply looked, with calm eyes that held no anger, only patience. After a silence that felt far too long, she finally spoke. If we were exaggerating, Ambassador, we would not be standing here. The chamber fell quiet. The words were simple, yet no one found an answer. For in that moment, they remembered the truth: humanity had survived. No matter the stories, no matter the doubts, the proof was before their eyes. Later, during the recess, council members gathered in small clusters, their voices hushed. Some argued the humans were harmless, that their history was only the natural struggle of a young race. Others warned that too much survival bred too much strength. One elder reptilian leaned close to his peers and whispered, I feel it in their presence. They hide it, but not well enough. These are not prey. These are hunters who wear masks. The humans continued their role, never raising their voices, never pressing for power. They spoke when asked, listened when ignored, and smiled when insulted. But the more they smiled, the more uneasy the chamber became. There was no desperation in them, no eagerness to prove themselves. Instead, there was calm, as if everything happening was expected, as if every insult, every doubt, every whisper was already part of a plan. That night, after the session ended, the alien delegates returned to their ships, but the talk of humans did not end. Rumors spread faster now. Reports of human soldiers training in silence. Reports of ancient wars on their world that had killed millions, yet their species endured. Reports of creatures on Earth more deadly than the predators of other worlds, sharks, wolves, and others that humans had not only survived but mastered. Every new rumor added to the fear. And yet, whenever a council member tried to challenge them directly, the humans gave the same answer: calm words, a polite smile, and silence that said more than any threat. Some began to wonder if the galaxy had made a mistake. Others believed the humans were only strange, not dangerous. But in quiet corners, away from the laughter, away from the bright lights of the council chamber, there were those who admitted what none wanted to speak aloud. Humanity was not harmless. Humanity was waiting. And the galaxy, though it did not yet know it, had already taken the first step toward learning the truth. The tension in the council grew heavier with each new meeting. By now, the whispers about humanity had reached every corner of the galaxy. Yet the humans kept their silence, always polite, always calm, as if nothing touched them. That calmness unsettled many, for it is easy to understand fear or anger, but calmness in the face of threats is harder to explain. The first true test came during a dispute between two powerful species. Their fleets were already gathering near the border, and the council chamber shook with their shouts. Threats filled the air, weapons were promised, and entire colonies were placed in danger. Everyone expected the humans to remain silent, as they always had. But when the argument reached its breaking point, it was the human ambassador who stood. She did not raise her voice. She simply said, "If you begin this war, we will stand with the innocent." The words were soft, but they cut through the noise like a blade. Both sides froze, staring at the human delegate. No one had expected them to speak, let alone to take a side. And it was not the words alone, it was the way she spoke them, without hesitation, without fear, with that same calm that made others uneasy. The angry ambassador of the stronger side turned toward her, his body trembling with rage. "And what will you do, human? You think your young race can stand against fleets older than your stars? Do you think your weak bodies can resist us?" The human only smiled. "Try, and see what happens." The chamber went silent. The council members shifted uncomfortably, uncertain whether to laugh or to be afraid. The words sounded like a challenge, yet the tone was still soft, polite, almost friendly. That contradiction was worse than any open threat. The ambassador who had spoken felt his throat dry. For the first time, he realized the human was not bluffing. After the meeting ended, reports spread quickly. A single sentence from a human had silenced the council. A single calm voice had stopped two empires from drawing blood that day. Many called it luck, others called it arrogance. But more and more began to wonder, what gave the humans such confidence? Back on their ships, the humans spoke little. They did not brag of what had happened, nor did they celebrate. To them, it had been a simple moment, nothing more. But to the rest of the galaxy, it was the first glimpse of something hidden beneath their smiles. The humans had revealed a spark of the predator within. And though they returned to the council with the same quiet diplomacy, the chamber never felt the same again. For now the question echoed louder than ever in the minds of all who sat there. What power gives humans such calmness in the face of war? The conflict that the council had tried to contain finally broke open. A warlike species, proud and arrogant, sent its fleet against a small human colony on the edge of settled space. The other races expected humanity to panic, to plead for help from the council. Many waited for a desperate call, a cry for mercy, something that would prove the humans were only fragile diplomats pretending to be strong. But the call never came. Instead, the humans remained silent. Their colony did not broadcast fear. Their government did not beg. Even their ambassadors spoke with the same calm tone as before, their eyes steady, their smiles unchanged. The galaxy grew uneasy, for silence in the face of attack was not weakness, it was preparation. When the alien fleet finally reached the colony, they expected easy victory. Their ships were larger, their weapons older and tested, their crews experienced in war. They laughed as they charged forward, eager to break the humans and show the galaxy that the new species was nothing but prey. Then, one by one, their ships began to vanish. It was not the chaos of battle, not the roar of open war. It was something quieter, colder. A patrol ship disappeared from the formation, its signal cut off in an instant. Then another, swallowed in silence. The fleet tried to regroup, but the humans were already among them, their smaller vessels moving with precision, striking not with fury but with patience. It was not a battle. It was a hunt. The alien crews panicked. Their weapons fired wildly, but nothing struck. Every time they thought they had caught a human ship, it slipped away, only to strike from another angle. The humans did not rush, did not boast, did not roar their victory. They dismantled the fleet piece by piece, as hunters pulling down prey too slow to run. When the survivors fled, limping back to their homeworld, they carried tales that shook the council chambers to silence. They spoke of human ships moving like shadows, of strategies that felt less like war and more like a predator playing with its food. They spoke of the cold, patient eyes of human commanders who never raised their voices, never shouted orders, only watched, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The council could no longer laugh. They had seen it with their own eyes. Behind the polite smiles and gentle words, humanity had revealed its nature. They were not diplomats pretending to be strong. They were predators pretending to be diplomats. And the galaxy, for the first time, began to fear what it had invited into its halls. The defeated fleet limped back to the council space, dragging with it shame and fear. A handful of alien officers had been captured by the humans during the battle. The council demanded their release, and the humans agreed without argument. They brought the prisoners forward, unharmed, treated with food and water, even given medical care. At first, this seemed to confirm what many had believed, that the humans were merciful, soft, unwilling to show cruelty even to their enemies. But when the prisoners spoke, the truth unsettled the chamber. The captives told stories not of torture, not of violence, but of something far worse. They spoke of being watched. Always watched. Human guards who stood silent, never raising a weapon, never threatening a word. Yet every prisoner felt as if death waited behind those calm eyes, ready to strike in a single instant if needed. The humans smiled at them, offered them kindness, but the kindness felt hollow, like a wolf licking blood from its teeth. One prisoner, a commander from the fleet, trembled. The council chamber was louder than ever before. Some races shouted that humanity must be banished before it was too late. Others argued just as fiercely that humanity had shown restraint, that their power was real but their discipline even greater. The captured prisoners' testimony had shaken every faction, but it had not united them. Instead, it had divided them deeper. One side demanded immediate action. "They are predators," roared a reptilian ambassador, his scales flashing with anger. "We cannot allow such a species to rise among us. Today they fight in defense, but tomorrow they may hunt us all." His words echoed across the chamber, and many nodded in fearful agreement. But others answered with equal passion. "They are predators, yes," said a calm, long-lived avian scholar. "But predators who choose peace are the strongest allies we could ever ask for. Look at their actions. They did not conquer the colony world, they protected it. They did not torture the prisoners, they cared for them. That is not the way of monsters." The humans listened in silence. They did not argue, did not defend themselves. They let the galaxy debate their nature as if they were not present. And yet, every time the council members glanced at them, sitting quietly in their seats, the unease returned. Those patient eyes, those steady smiles, revealed nothing, and in revealing nothing, they revealed too much. Some species whispered privately, terrified of what might happen if the council voted to expel or strike against humanity. "Do you not see?" one delegate hissed to another. "If we attack them, we may unleash something none of us can stop." The council split into two camps, each unwilling to bend. Fear spread through the chamber like fire, not just fear of humanity, but fear of what decision might push them into showing their full nature. And so the debate dragged on, day after day, until the galaxy itself held its breath. Would humanity reveal its teeth at last, or continue to smile, waiting, patient as ever, while the galaxy tore itself apart trying to decide what they truly were? The council could not remain divided forever. At last, the humans chose to speak, not with threats, not with weapons, but with history. When the chamber gathered again, the human ambassador rose, her expression calm, her voice steady as always. But this time, she carried with her a collection of images, recordings, and stories from Earth's past. The chamber dimmed as the records played. The aliens watched scenes of endless storms tearing across continents, seas swallowing entire cities, ice and fire reshaping the land again and again. They saw humans standing against these disasters, rebuilding every time, refusing to give in. Then came the wars. Endless, brutal wars. Entire nations rising and falling, weapons that shook the world, cities turned to ash. Yet even in those ashes, humans survived. The council members shifted uncomfortably, for these were not stories of distant enemies, these were humans fighting humans. They were predators even to their own kind. But what struck deepest was not the wars or the disasters. It was the children. The records showed children scavenging for food in ruins, carrying water across deserts, learning to fight before they could read, standing guard over families while parents slept. Their faces were young, but their eyes were old, eyes that had already seen too much. The chamber grew silent. Many species could not believe what they saw. On their worlds, children were kept safe, protected from the harshness of life until they were grown. To see human children surviving horrors that would break adult soldiers of other races was something they could not understand. The human ambassador's voice did not rise. She spoke as if reciting a simple truth. We are not strong because we wish to be. We are strong because we had no choice. Even our children learned to endure what others would call impossible. This is who we are. For a long time, no one in the chamber spoke. The weight of the truth pressed down on them all. The galaxy had thought of humanity as fragile, polite diplomats wearing smiles. But now they understood. The smiles were not weakness. They were the mask of survivors who had walked through fire since the beginning of their existence. And the thought grew in every mind, chilling and undeniable. If this is what their children had endured, what were their adults truly capable of? The chamber sat in silence, the weight of humanity's history still hanging in the air like a storm that refused to pass. No one dared to speak first. The images of human survival, through fire, through ice, through war, had stripped away every illusion. The galaxy could no longer laugh at the smiling diplomats. The mask had fallen, and beneath it stood predators tempered by patience. At last, the chairman of the council, the old reptilian with scales like steel, leaned forward. His voice was low, careful. We see you now. You are not what we believed. Not fragile, not harmless. He paused, his sharp eyes narrowing. The question is, are you allies, or a threat? The human ambassador did not rush to answer. She let the silence stretch until even the strongest warriors in the chamber shifted uneasily. Then she spoke, her words simple, her tone calm. We are what you choose us to be. Treat us as friends, and we will guard you with our strength. Treat us as enemies. She stopped, the faintest of smiles touching her lips. And you will learn why your ancestors feared the dark. A shiver moved through the chamber. Every race present understood the meaning, though no open threat had been spoken. Humanity had given the galaxy a choice, but the weight of that choice was heavier than any weapon. Some ambassadors lowered their heads, accepting the truth. Others whispered in fear, wondering if they had already invited their doom. Yet none could deny what had been revealed. The galaxy had not welcomed harmless diplomats. It had welcomed hunters who had learned to walk with patience, who could wear smiles like masks, and who carried the strength of survivors in every breath. The session ended with no clear verdict, but no one laughed at humanity anymore. Not a single word of mockery was spoken as the humans rose, bowed, and left the chamber in silence. Their footsteps were steady, unhurried, like the steps of predators who never needed to chase, because sooner or later, all prey came to them. And so the galaxy realized, too late, the truth that could no longer be hidden. Humanity was the apex predator among the stars, disguised as diplomats. Whether that truth would save the galaxy, or destroy it, was a question that none dared to answer aloud.